Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, I'm John, this is Benny Intruder, and welcome to Fallout 76 Survival Mode, and oh my, right, we need to have a chat about this one. This one's got me all confused. I genuinely am not sure how I feel about this, and that doesn't mean it's just sort of okay or middle of the road, no. It's much more confusing than that. You know the old Simpsons joke in one of the Halloween specials where Homer's buying the evil Krusty doll for Bart and he's told that the doll is cursed? That's bad. But it comes with a free Frogurt. That's good. The Frogurt is also cursed. That's bad. But it comes with a choice of topics. That's good. That's pretty much where I am with Fallout 76 Survival Mode, ladies and gentlemen. There's some really good stuff here. Some really solid ideas that really improve the game. And there's some other stuff too. So let's dive in. I think you'll get the picture pretty quickly. So, whole new world and a whole new set of rules, which I better quickly explain because if you haven't been following the dev diaries, they're probably not what you're expecting. Because of course Bethesda made Fallout 4 and then they made Fallout 4 Survival Mode, where there was a big focus on, you know, survival mechanics because it was called Survival Mode. Then they made Fallout 76 and added Fallout 76 Survival Mode. So you'd probably be expecting survival mechanics to have received a significant overhaul and now be more central to the experience. And no, actually, that's not what's happened at all. In fact, survival mechanics have been completely untouched by this update. Lots of other stuff has, but not survival mechanics. So, what actually has changed? Well, the big one is now anyone can attack anyone, and they've really taken a huge number of restrictions off. Like, even the sub-level 5 pacifist mode restriction has been removed. Just out of interest, I started a new character and went and found another player, and that player immediately killed me, even though I was level 2. Now, that'd be a big enough change by itself, but there's a bunch of other stuff too. Arguably, stuff that's a lot more interesting. You see, previously in Fallout 76, you could see where everyone was on the map at all times. That's now been changed. You are now completely blind to everyone else's location. Now that's a solid enough idea for creating a good atmosphere for survival mode, because it means when you enter an area, you don't know whether you're alone or not. It leaves you constantly a little bit scared as to whether or not you might, you know, survive. So fair enough, that's probably a positive idea for a change. But if nobody knows where anybody is, then things might be a bit quiet, which is why we've got the leaderboards up in the top left there, where basically what the game deems to be the top 3 performing players will be highlighted on the map to literally everybody. Except sometimes it just sort of seems to not work, which is odd. So yeah, right now the person number 2 is being highlighted. Except when I hover over this person, that's actually M. Calcifer, who should be person number 1. Hang on, let me just reload the map here. No, the game still thinks M. Calcifer's number 2, even though the leaderboard right there says M. Calcifer number 1. So you're probably wondering, okay, where's Cry Nano and Alex Vega? I don't know, because they're just not on the map. That sometimes happens. Sometimes they're just not there. And I'm not 100% sure why they're not here, to be perfectly honest. They're just sort of not. In the base game, you don't show up on the map if you're actually, like, hiding. If you're crouching, you don't appear on the map. It's only if you're walking or running that you actually appear. So, I don't know if that's accidentally been left in, because it really feels like you shouldn't be able to hide from the survival leaderboard by, you know, crouching. But for some reason, people just aren't on the map sometimes. I, like, loaded, like, 10 games in a row to see how many people showed up. On several occasions, none of the top 3 were on the map. On this occasion, it's just number 2, or rather, it's number 1, but they're labelled as number 2, and the other people just aren't there. So I'm not sure what's going on there, whether that's design or an old mechanic being used as it shouldn't be, or Fallout 76 bugging out. It might be one of the above, I don't flipping know. Now all of that so far is actually a pretty solid idea. I've not got a problem with any of that. Make the area nice and tense, make it so you don't know when you're about to run into other players, but if people are actually here for action shooty bang bang gun guns, then make sure that those people are highlighted to each other on the map so they can actually have, you know, a rolling hunt across the entire map amongst themselves, while people who want to just, like, you know, chill out and play the game but at a slightly higher stake, so with the bonus XP, you get 20% bonus XP in survival mode, they can just have a slightly fresh experience. Except the Frogurt is also cursed. You see, the way the game determines who the top 3 players are is exclusively by who has been alive the longest. So when you first join survival mode, you will always be right at the bottom. But the moment anybody dies, the moment anybody leaves the session, you will inevitably move slightly upwards. You cannot stay off everyone's radar forever. Everybody eventually, sooner or later, has to become a target. And in terms of how long it takes for you to actually get your go, typically I don't see people at the number 1 spot living more than 30 minutes to an hour. So yeah, in the 2 days that survival mode has been open, this particular session, no one's actually made it up to 2 hours yet. So typically 30 minutes to an hour after you begin, even if you've not been involved in any of the fighting, any of the rest of it, you will be a target. Now, that presents a very, very major problem. Because if you're actually here to, play Fallout 76, let's just go over some of the activities that in Fallout 76 you'll be spending a lot of your time doing. Buying and selling at shops. Crafting or maintaining weaponry. Reading terminals. Lockpicking or hacking. Focusing on looting. Building in your camp. And cooking, amongst many other activities. And what all of these things have in common is it involves you being in a menu, sitting or standing perfectly still, without your weapon out, being completely 100% vulnerable. So let's just do a test here, back out again, exit station, and... Alright, maybe 2 to 3 seconds. Now that probably doesn't sound too bad until you remember that most fights in Fallout 76 are gonna be over in a handful of seconds. This is not a slow tactical rolling combat sort of game. Fights are only going to last a long time if they're happening at extreme range. At close range, you will be dead in a handful of seconds. In fact, here's footage of me being one-shotted by some asshole with a sniper rifle and an invisibility cloak. So yeah, fights are a short thing. A couple of seconds disadvantage, you have already lost. And while I was just going around recording that footage, time has ticked on, and I'm now up to 4th place. And also the person who's technically first is still being flagged as 3rd because I don't even flipping know. So you can't actually really play the game like this, because every half an hour or so, you'll have a bunch of people potentially gunning for you. And if you're actually trying to play the game normally, do quests, do the normal things you do in this game, you will basically come under attack when you have no way of defending yourself. The system also has the problem that it is extremely open to exploitation. So right now, yeah, I've been alive for 23 minutes. And if any of the 3 people above me die or leave the session, I will actually move to being flagged on the map, or at least possibly I will. Who flipping knows with Fallout 76 survival mode in its current state. But I might be being flagged. And if they kill me, I'm going to lose a big pile of money because the rewards for combat are doubled. So you can lose a lot of caps. Like I might lose pretty much all of those 134 caps in one go, and I'll lose any junk I'm holding, and in survival mode, you also lose medicine. So potentially a big pile of stim packs, drugs, purified water, stuff I don't want to lose. But if I hadn't been alive for 24 minutes, then none of that would actually happen. All I really need to do at this point is fling myself to my death. Hang on, might just take another go. And there we go. I've officially managed to critically injure myself. I'm just going to give up at this point. Lovely. And now I can simply respawn at my own camp, and I'm back down to 23rd in the session, because at this point, I have not been alive for a significant amount of time anymore. And there we go, there's my paper bag right there. So even if you die from someone not killing you, you drop a bunch of stuff anyway. So yeah, that was actually a handful of stim packs and a bunch of stuff I'd rather not lose. So basically, if you just arrange a quiet death for yourself every 30 minutes or so, pretty much that works to your advantage in every way. It means people won't be hunting you down, so you're at much lower risk of losing money and aid. And on top of that, it makes you much more effective in a fight, because you'll be able to see the people in the top 3 on the map, but they won't be able to see you. And bear in mind, there is no reward whatsoever for being in the top 3. The reward comes from killing other players, because you can make an awful lot of money, and that double reward means we can be talking hundreds of caps at a time. So basically, the game systematically rewards players who throw themselves off cliffs every 20 minutes with higher security and better rewards, and that just feels like that shouldn't be a thing. Especially in a mode called survival mode. But there's a much bigger problem. I've just switched over to Survival Steve here. Steve has seen some bad stuff in his life and he thought he was ready for survival mode, but he was wrong. And the reason he was wrong is, despite the fact Steve is a level 2 character, when I actually loaded up Steve, the game put me back in the same session, where I know for a fact there are level 300 characters. Now sure, in adventure mode it makes absolute perfect sense to mix a whole bunch of different players of different skill levels together, because adventure mode is mostly a PvE experience where there's no compulsory PvP at all. So therefore having some high level players dotted around in some areas, low level players in others, seeing who cooperates, who doesn't, make sure the map is nicely occupied, a few people in all parts of it. Yes, fine, absolutely, no problem whatsoever. But in survival mode, when anyone can take on anyone, and to be clear, the level 300 can actually pick off level 2s just after they've left the flipping vault, there needs to be a separation. There must be. The low level players must be put together. The higher level players must be kept apart in their own universes. Because as it is right now, give it 20 minutes, I might be ready to move up into the top 3. And at that point, a level 300 might come and kill me just because they fancy being a little bit further up the list. And that's not fun for anybody. The level 300 is not going to get anything good out of it, and the level 2 doesn't stand any chance in the fight whatsoever. It's not fun for anybody. It's bad design. Oh, here's fun. When you hit level 5 inside survival mode, the game does actually flag you can now engage in PvP, even though you can engage in PvP below level 5 in survival mode. And I know that because level 2 survival Steve ran into a level 50 in power armor who decided to just shank him for fun. But we haven't even got to the worst bit yet, because the Frogurt is most definitely also cursed. You see, and this is the biggest madness of all, you can freely move characters between adventure and survival mode. So let's say you've got a lovely high-level adventure mode character with invisibility armor and instigating weaponry and explosive weaponry and all of that good stuff, but you need money in a hurry to buy some really expensive plans from a shop, maybe buy mutation serum, something like that. There's plenty of things to spend caps on in this game. There is basically no better way you could make money than by taking that character into survival mode and starting to pick off other players. Because the doubled rewards mean we can easily be talking about 350 caps being transferred for a single victory. A victory that, as we've established, can be won in seconds. Basically, whoever gets the first shot in is going to win. And the person who's going to win is probably the person who's got the target on their map when their target doesn't have you on their map. And just to make sure things are nice and safe for your adventure mode tourist here, you're allowed to check by hovering over the icons on the map what level the people in position 1, 2 and 3 are. Because of course if you take out a very low level player, you won't get too much money. But because we still don't have any form of permanent server, if you come across a session where low level people are in the top 3 positions, return to main menu, reload, keep doing that over and over until you find some people who are in the nice Goldilocks level territory. A bit lower level than you, but still reasonably high level, to make sure that you're definitely going to win the fight, but you're still going to make a huge amount of money out of it. And let's say you do this over and over again until you're 4th in the league table, well in that case just travel to your camp, which you've conveniently left by a cliff, toss yourself off the top of it, there you go, straight back down to the bottom, no penalty in caps whatsoever, pick up your own junk, no one steals that off you, and get straight back to hunting the people currently in the top 3. Because as long as you keep tossing yourself off that cliff over and over, you can maintain a strong tactical advantage over people who are playing the game properly. And once you've got enough money, take your characters straight back into adventure mode, where you can buy whatever it is you need to with the huge piles of easy money you've just made. Because Fallout 76 survival mode in its current form basically incentivizes, empowers, and rewards griefing systematically. And it's just madness. It's utter madness. And the worst thing is how easy this is to flipping fix. Which is, why is it longest life, which indicates who's actually shown to who on the map? Because everyone's going to have the longest life. It's just a rotating door. Why isn't it based on player kills, where the people with the highest number of kills end up at the top and kills slowly fade as time goes by? That way, the people who are interested in fighting other players end up fighting each other and fighting rolling battles backwards and forwards amongst themselves, while other players who don't want to get involved in that business can choose to go and find those top players and engage in the massive scrap if they want to, but otherwise can just stay out of the way. I had an alternative idea as well, which I thought was a bit more elegant, which is, if you've got no kills, you can see everybody on the map. If you've got 1 kill, you can only see people with 1 kill and above, 2 kills, only 2 and above. So as you kill more people, you lose more and more visibility and become more and more vulnerable to counterattacks from more and more people who can see you but you can't see them. Honestly, I think that would solve that problem immediately. And this shouldn't even need saying, but no, you should not be able to bring adventure mode characters into survival mode. You just shouldn't. Let people bring in adventure mode characters if you insist, but they should be kept in their own sessions. People who have started playing a survival mode character in survival mode should be in sessions only with other players who have done the same thing, so everyone in that session is actually trying to play the game and is going to be doing things like crafting, shopping, etc. The tourists from adventure mode who are just here to murder people, make money, get the survival mode achievement are not going to be bothering with. Putting people who are actually trying to play the game as it's intended to be played at a massive disadvantage. You know, at this point in the video, I was actually planning to just do a little experiment, which is just wait until I reach 3rd place, and then wait to see how long it takes someone to come along and murder me, even though I'm a level 5 character who couldn't possibly have anything the person coming to murder me actually wants. But given none of the top 3 are actually showing up on the map right now, I feel like that's not gonna work. By the way, there's just no limit to the number of exploits and manipulations that are introduced by being able to freely move characters between adventure and survival. So say one of the mechanisms introduced by survival is certain limitations on fast travel. This means you can't just travel to any location anymore. You've got to go to your camp, Vault 76, or one of the train stations. I assume this is to make people stay in certain locations for longer in order to assist hunting players down. It's basically a good idea, but it's also very, very easy to work around. So say I was at my camp and I wanted to go to Flatwoods. Normally I wouldn't be able to fast travel to Flatwoods, but if I just simply quit to menu, load into adventure mode, fast travel to Flatwoods, quit to menu, load up survival mode, I have effectively just fast traveled to Flatwoods in survival mode. It takes a little bit longer, but it's entirely doable. So the fast travel restriction is very easy to get around too. And the saddest thing is this almost flipping works, and it does pretty much work if you realise what it is, which is, this is not a transformative new way to play the game of Fallout 76. It's not going to be the thing that makes you replay Fallout 76 and realise it's actually good now. It's a side mode, it's an arena, it's a hunt. And if you basically just say, okay, I do all my actual playing of the game in adventure mode, and then I bring them into this mode for a bit of wacky, fun, stupid, blow everything uppiness, you can actually have a pretty good time with it if you treat it exclusively like that. Because right now, I am 17th on the leaderboard. So this guy over here cannot see me. I know his location at the White Spring Station. So how about we go on a little bit of a hunt for him? Because if I just basically, drop down over to round over here, then down over onto here, if I just follow the actual track round, I can now stalk him, and he doesn't realise it. And this was always one of my favourite bits of adventure mode, which is when someone picks up a bounty, tracking them down. Except it was very frustrating in adventure mode, because of course, there's nothing to stop someone with a bounty just teleporting around all over the place. The limitations on fast travel, as easy as they are to get around, does mean that people for the most part have to walk to one location and then slowly work their way across the map to where they actually want to go. Meaning people can't just teleport around like crazy. When you've actually got a bead on someone, there's a good chance that's the location they're in, for the time being at least. You see, I know that person is at the train station, so I can start approaching them without them knowing I'm approaching. But I'm not the only person that knows that. Everyone else on the map knows that too. So in theory, about 20 other people who I can't see might be converging on the same location. Now that's an interesting, tense, fun dynamic. Ah, you see, here we go. Before I've even got there, someone's actually taken out that person, but now I know for a fact there's somebody new in residence over there. Here we go. I was beaten to the punch, but there's someone else still here. And I think it might be the asshole who shot me earlier. Zombified ninja. Yes, here we go. So what I need to do now is get on top of them. And I know you're around here somewhere. Oh, but he's probably gone invisible. Ah, and I see the problem here. The toppings also contain potassium benzoate. The reason why the fight's kicked off over here is because basically multiple people want to spawn camp. because the White Springs is now one of the most convenient centres of shopping close by to a train station, so people can fast travel there and buy and sell before moving straight on, meaning people who just want to harvest easy money have started basically taking up position around the White Springs train station. Now, according to the patch notes, what's supposed to happen is, when you fast travel or spawn in or whatever, you're supposed to have a period of invulnerability. It's either incredibly short or it's not working right now. I have seen a lot of people camping outside train stations and just getting kill after kill after kill. So let's stay focused on the things that theoretically ought to be improved, and unfortunately the focus does have to be on theoretically. Events should be improved by survival mode, because up to now, you just show up to an event and everyone's friends, and then you complete the event and everyone's, still friends. But in survival mode, this is one of very few instances where you are actually forcibly teamed up with everyone else floating around in this area. Meaning that for as long as the event is active, you are friends with each other. The moment the event ends, you are back to being enemies. Now that's fun, because that means, about 30 seconds before the event actually ends, all of a sudden, people start trying to figure out, what position do I want to be in? Do I actually want to try and take part in this, or would I rather back off? Should I actually try and take part, or should I stay at the edges and maybe just grab a few loot bags once everything settles down? But there's another big problem, which is people don't really bother showing up to events in Fallout 76 because it costs money to go to them, the rewards typically aren't very good, and they're not actually that interesting. But of course, there's one big exciting exception, and that's nuke zones. Here we go, I've shown up a bit late to the party, and we've got ourselves a Scorch Beast Queen right over here. So right now, all these people are allied together. We're all just lovely, lovely friends. But the moment the Scorch Beast Queen is actually dead, then there's a couple of competing priorities, which is one, everyone wants to make it over to the Scorch Beast Queen to actually, help yourself to the loot on the Scorch Beast Queen, but everyone's also automatically hostile to each other. So that is no good of flipping all, and what on earth are you doing here? There's just a Vertibot here that's helping out. I've decided I'm not really going to get involved in this, actually. I'm just going to stay out of the way for the time being, because excuse me, I don't even know what just hit me, actually. I'm not 100% sure. And there we go. The event is now over. Another player just took some loot I dropped at one point. Everyone is now hostile to everybody else, or at least can be. I immediately get some good armor, but the question is, okay, so there's already some murder going on out there. I don't really want to get involved, to be perfectly honest. I kind of feel like I want to stay out of this one. If I do have any yes, Psycho Buff. This feels like an excellent time for some Psycho Buff. Wait for the hostilities to be over here right now. And then the game crashed. Oh, that's just perfect, isn't it? That's actually just flipping perfect. Oh wait, hang on. It might have slightly recovered. I may just be having... What is going on? Oh, no, we're back, but I think we've actually missed absolutely everything. Oh, and also my health is currently higher than my rad meter, which is supposed to be impossible, but it's just happened anyway. In theory, however, just in theory, had the game not lagged out like crazy at that exact moment in time, that could have all been rather exciting, couldn't it? Yes, in theory it could have been, had the toppings not contained the potassium benzoate. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty much Fallout 76 survival mode, and it's kind of a little microcosm of Fallout 76 in and of itself, which is, there are some good ideas here, but the doll is cursed and the toppings are also cursed and they contain potassium benzoate. It's not a terrible idea, but the execution leaves so much to be desired. But I do have hope, because this is not Fallout 76 Survival Mode, this is Fallout 76 Survival Mode's beta, meaning they might just make a big pile of changes yet, and bloody hell does it need it. 1. We need to separate out the adventure characters from the survival characters permanently and all of the time. And within the survival mode characters, we need to much more appropriately gate sessions by level so that people of roughly comparable strength with roughly comparable goals will be facing each other. I've got nothing against tourists from adventure mode coming in to let off some steam and murder each other and whatever, but people who are low level who are just trying to play the game normally shouldn't be mixed with those people, because neither of them are going to have a good experience out of it. Better separation of types of player. Number 2, rework the map. It should not be a rotating door where everyone gets a turn being picked on, because not everybody wants to get picked on. And the system as it is right now, where it's just how long you've been alive, is wide open to abuse, because you can just commit suicide to get back down to the bottom of it. And it also gives massive advantages to tourists and griefers from adventure mode. Replace it with a system where people who are getting kills are at the top. Ideally replace it with a system where you can only see people with the same number or more kills than you. That would be a significant improvement. And number 3, either improve or repair the system of invulnerability when you actually warp in. Because right now, just 2 days in, there is already an epidemic of spawn sniping. Please, Bethesda, if you listen to one thing in this video, if anyone hears this, separate out the adventure mode people from the survival mode people. It would work so much better. But as it is right now, it's just not an enjoyable experience, unfortunately. And that's because of the adventure mode tourists and griefers coming in and basically ruining it with overpowered weapons, overpowered armor, and manipulative behavior like spawn sniping. It's just not a fun time. Basically, the only way you can have fun with Fallout 76 Survival Mode right now is if you lower yourself to the same standard as the worst of the tourists and griefers that have been plaguing this for just the first 2 days. This could, in theory, be good. Honestly, the ideas are solid. This could be a real improvement over Fallout 76, but in its current form, with its current implementation, it's worse. And I really wish I could be nicer about this, because when I read the patch notes, when I heard about all the features they were going to add in, I immediately thought, this is a really good idea. This could be really, really damn good. But it's not. It just doesn't work right now. Systems do not work together. Some bad decisions have been made about how to implement good ideas, and oh no, it's just all happened again, hasn't it? Yes. Yes, it flipping has. I will keep my eye on this, ladies and gentlemen. We might nip back in and have a little look, see how this is all shaped up after the beta period. I wanted to like this. I went into this really wanting to like this, but I just can't. Not in its current form. But I really, really hope they fix it. Because if they do, it's possible this could be a good time. This could be fun. So, we live in hope, ladies and gentlemen. I will keep an eye on Fallout 76 and what's going on, and I will keep you updated. But in the meantime, I've been John. This has been Many a True Nerd, and this has been Fallout 76 with Survival Mode. Thank you very much, and goodbye. We have got a gate key here, and then we have got... I've made a mistake, I've made a mistake, I've made a mistake, I've made a mistake! This is going to take all of my skill and cunning as a hunter to sort out... Die, you mooing bastards! Die! Die! Go away. Go away, nobody likes you. That was a good idea till it wasn't.